US President Donald Trump and his planned tariffs on steel and aluminium products from Canada, they're set to rise now to 50%. Now, this was in response to a Canadian financial penalty slapped on energy supply to 3 US states, the Ontario Premier Doug Ford vowing to maintain that electricity levy at 25% until US tariffs are removed. We have a development on this. Ford apparently now saying that his tariffs of 25% have now been taken away. So we await Trump's response. Of course, this all began with Trump's original tariff of 25% on all Canadian goods. A sequence started by the US president led to a fall in the stock markets, also in the Canadian dollar. Since Trump took power on January the 20th, promising a golden age, the US has lurched closer and closer to recession. Economic observers say that Trump's tactics are very much to blame. Let's bring in our correspondent in Ottawa, Christopher Guly, to get more on this one. Christopher, a very good evening to you. Things moving quickly where you are. So just confirm for us where we are with the tariffs. Have Ontario taken away the energy tariffs or not? Give us some clarity, please, sir.
Sure. Suspended, not removed. So in 2 days, Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, will travel to Washington, where he'll meet with Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick to discuss steps going forward. The USMCA, the free trade deal between Canada, US, and Mexico, is up for renewal this year. And the reason why Donald Trump suspended a good chunk of the tariffs against Canada was to ensure that his measures were in compliance with that agreement. So on Thursday, there'll be a discussion about next steps on this electricity war, cross-border war. And we've yet to hear whether the 50% tariffs have been lifted on Canadian steel and aluminum.
It is moving very quickly, isn't it? But what effect is it having on the economy? Obviously, we're reading that things are heading downwards in the US. How's Canada faring?
The stock markets on both sides of the border are down, as you know. Algoma Steel in the last hour began laying off workers in Canada. You're going to see that ripple effect crossing the border. It's important to remember that Donald Trump talked about slamming the Canadian auto manufacturing industry. Well, he seems to forget that it's a cross-border industry. So auto parts cross the border regularly, Canada, the US. Parts are made in Canada, parts are made in the United States. So if he shuts down the Canadian side, he's going to be shutting down the American side as well. And there will be layoffs in the US guaranteed.
Christopher Guly in Ottawa, thank you very much indeed for bringing us up to date with the situation there, and of course pointing out that what happens on one side of the border doesn't necessarily stay there. It's hurting both sides, and it has to be said, it all comes from Donald Trump's original tariffs that he decided to levy on Canada. Well, Wall Street